morning.
We're at the Amelia Island Concours d'Elegance, and we wanted to sit down, as we said in some previous videos, we wanted to sit down and talk to some people who were significant in the car industry and cover all bases. So the car industry just isn't about, people who put on events or people who collect automobilia or people who design cars or collect cars. It's about people who do the art and paint cars. And Kelly Telfer is a tremendous artist, and we're going to talk about some of the things that Kelly does. But Kelly, before we go anywhere, how did you get here? How did you become you're an artist of note, but you started doing something kind of cool?
Well, when I was 14, I drew my driver's license, because in California they were black and white. So I drew my driver's license so I could race cars. My dad didn't give me permission, so I gave myself permission, and we started racing cars, my brother and I, as Telfer Brothers Racing. And we started with stock VWs in dirt oval tracks, smashing into each other, and graduated to super modifieds and sprint cars. I ended up designing the t-shirts for our race team. And pretty soon I was doing all the local sprint car drivers t-shirts. I ended up doing the NASCAR guys, the Formula One, IndyCar. I did stuff with Rick Mears and his parents, Bill and Skip Mears, for probably 10 years. And a great story about Rick is when he retired, I met him down at a Mickey Thompson race where his brother was racing off-road. And I showed Rick some designs, and I go, "What do you think?" And there was a long pause, and I'm like, "Oh man, I blew it. He's not happy." And he looks over at me and goes, "Kelly, I like that one with the car going off in the sunset." It says, "Thanks, Rick." He goes, "But honestly, I do not know what the back of an Indy car looks like." So I also did artwork and t-shirts and apparel for Ayrton Senna and Nigel Mansell and Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Mario Andretti. I did Mario Andretti's Arrivederci tour, his final tour in 1986. I did his t-shirts. I got a great story about Mario, but I'm going to have to save that one because it's great.
Yeah. So you started doing artwork. You're doing some things with Porsche, obviously. You have a Bahama Mama. Tell everybody what Bahama Mama
Well, I
is.
graduated from t-shirts. It took me 25 years to realize that business was too crazy. We had a slogan, "Shirts till it hurts." We printed shirts 24/7 with 85 employees. I sold out of that, and I said, I'm in Silicon Valley. I'm going to just see what high tech's about. I applied for a low-level PowerPoint job, and I ended up working at Siemens. I spent half my time in Europe. 10 years later, I was global director of e-marketing. So my background was 1 foot in being self-employed till I was 44, 1 foot playing in the corporate sandbox till I was 54. Then I jumped off the cliff and said, my whole life's been about passion, about creativity, whether it's in the corporate role, the apparel role. And I said, I'm going to take old school paintbrush and old school paint and put it on a canvas. So I've been slinging paint full time for 10 years. You asked about Brumos Bahama Mama. So a really good friend of mine, Peter Sachs, he said, "Hey, we got 20 minutes to get you into the Brumos collection." That's all they have. This is prior to it being the world-renowned museum it is today. So Beth and I dropped everything. I think we were in a meeting with McLaren and said, "We'll have to continue this tomorrow. This is Porsche stuff." And so we went to the Brumos collection, and our 20 minutes turned into 6.5 hours of Don Leatherwood and me and Peter all exchanging stories. Every car I walked by, the Peter Gregg car that won Daytona in 1973, I go, "I'll give you $100,000 for it." And they all laughed. Every car I offered them $100,000. We walked by this 1968 dead stock Bahama Mama yellow 911. I said, "I'll buy that." And they said, "Sure." And we all laughed. So Beth and I flew back to California. And a couple days later, I woke her up at like 3 in the morning. I go, "Do you think they were serious about selling the car?" She goes, kind of groggily. She goes, "I don't know, call them." Well, I figured it was 6 o'clock here, so I called Don Leatherwood. I think I woke him up. I said, "Are you serious?" He goes, "Absolutely not. We've never sold a car to somebody in the general public. We have no cars for sale, but we would consider selling it to you."
Nice.
So I bought this dead stock, beautiful 1968 911 and took it to Werks the next day and won first place at the Werks reunion. I told him I slaved on it for 9 months preparing the car for the car show. It was a total lie. Brumos detailed it. They did everything. I just drove it and won.
Well, that brings us to the next point. So you're doing some great things with, you're the official artist of a couple things now.
Yes.
And the Werks poster this year, this is 2021. The Werks poster is amazing this year. It's Kelly's work.
Well, thank you.
But what else?
So I am the official artist for the Porsche Club of America. I'm very proud of that. The first Porsche I drew that I still have, I think I was 6 years old, and it's a Speedster drawing. Mm-hmm. And I even did this Speedster emblem on the front fender. So I'm just die-hard Porsche. It's a big honor, and I'm very humbled to be able to do the work for the Porsche Club. I'm doing the Porsche Parade this year, which is in French Lick, Indiana, and I'm just thrilled. We're featuring the James Dean Speedster that he raced as part of the official painting. We had to go through the approval process with Porsche, and I'm just honored. Additionally, I'm doing the Rolex Reunion, which was called the Monterey Historics, basically, at Laguna Seca WeatherTech Raceway. And I'm the official artist for that. The official sponsor is Ford, and we're doing the iconic Ford Trans Am cars. And I'm doing a portrait of PJ, Parnelli Jones, and George Fulmer. It'll be on the tickets, the poster, the t-shirts, programs. And I can't believe it. I'm just so lucky to be doing what I love and to be doing it with people such as yourself.
Well, it's interesting to become involved as an artist for these events. There's a number of artists there's a limited number of artists who are automotive artists who do the poster art for concours events, race events, automotive events. So did you find it difficult to break into those relationships?
Well, that's a great question. It is ridiculous. It's a combination of who you know, it's a combination of luck, it's a combination of hard work. So a lot of people, when I own my apparel business and even now copy my art or my style, and people go, well, what do you think of that? What's that make you feel? I go, more power to them. They can only copy what I've done. They can't copy what I'm going to do. And so with that, that's my true philosophy. So any artist that has any questions on how to do it, I would be glad to answer any questions. My suppliers for prints, for packaging, if anyone wants to call me or email me, I will take the time to help you out. I'll also tell you, to get into an event, you have to be at the event. It actually helps if you're not from the local area. They think more.
The grass is always greener.
I come from California. They're like, oh, you came all the way here to do this event? I'm like, gosh, that was about a 6-hour flight. Cost me about $300. Yeah. Oh, man, it was a lot of work. But yeah, I'm here. I rode the wagon train here. Yeah. And so what you got to do is show up. You have to be, obviously if you're an artist, you're passionate. You have to show your passion. I've been told that I'm kind of quiet and shy. I don't really show my passion. You haven't seen that. The way to break into it is you have to have a really thick skin. You have to believe in yourself. And when, every piece of art I do is very personal, very passionate. And people don't understand it. You're hanging it out there, right?
Right.
And it's for all the criticism in the world. And believe me, I get so much people walk by, oh my God, that looks like a third grader did it. Now, sometimes I consider that a compliment, because I don't color in the lines. And, I do a different style of art. But you have to have a really thick skin. So I'd say 3 things. If you want to break into the art business, show up and be present. Bother them politely. You have to be tenacious. It's like anyone in sales. You have to be the best salesman of your own artwork in the world. So bother them. Tell them you do stuff. Tell them you'll donate to their charity. Tell them you'll show up and sign posters. Tell them you will be at their disposal. Be there. That's number 1. Number 2, be ready when your opportunity comes. I taught my 3 children to always have an elevator speech. And back then I said, if Steve Jobs gets in the elevator with you, you have 30 seconds with one of the brightest minds in the world. What are you going to say?
Right.
Be ready. So believe it or not, I'm ready right now. I'm ready if Roger Penske walked up. I'm sorry, I'd get up off this interview and go talk to him.
And I wouldn't blame you.
And the third thing is, it's the hard work. I said there's luck involved, but you create your luck with hard work. And so there are times where I paint nonstop. I might alternate a glass of wine and a cup of coffee for 4 days straight. I don't personally do drugs. I don't care if people do. Maybe I should. It might help my art. What do you guys think?
Well, you live in California. There's a lot of growers out there.
I wish I was a connoisseur. I wish I did it. I would have made a lot more money.
So that one of the reasons why we really wanted to talk to Kelly is because, A, the passion, but there's a giving spirit here, and I think that really what motivates the automotive industry and the collector market is the people that want to share.
Yes.
And the people that have become as famous as you have gotten there by sharing. Like, they've gotten there by giving back. Everything you just said on camera to help another artist, there's a lot of people that won't do that. And I think that's one of the things that just intrigues me and makes me really appreciate our friendship.
Well, thank you.
Now, that said, you do some things that are pro bono because of your passion for that.
Correct.
And tomorrow, you're going to be showing a painting here. And so why don't you tell us what you've done with Bill Warner for the past couple of years?
Yes.
And then that's going to lead us into showing something that by the time you see this, it's already going to happen. So this is the preview, but it's not the preview. So go ahead.
So Bill Warner and I came up with this concept, and thanks to my friend Peter Sachs, the three of us came up with this concept to surprise, and I call it ambush art, to surprise people, deserving people with art. I've surprised people I met online, never met in person, and walked up and gave them a painting of their Porsche. Mark Perbanik, I gave him a painting of his Porsche at Lufgehilt, and we become fast friends, and he's a great guy. And online, I go, man, I love his persona. I'm going to do something.
Yeah, Mark's Instagram, if you don't follow it, you have to, because a Porsche with surfboards on it is just badass. But
and he drives, and he drives it. He drives
yes,
it. He's not one of the
it.
trailer queens. And so what happened is 3 years ago, the honoree was Jackie Ickx. So I did a painting of Jackie Ickx, and in the background I kind of created his history of racing and a portrait of him in his iconic blue helmet with the white around the edge. And I'm going to add one thing real quick here. What's really important in your art is your knowledge. Learn everything you can about your craft. Here's one of those tips.
Yep.
Learn how to paint in oils, watercolor, gouache, and take watercolors and flush them down the toilet. It's too hard. The guys that can do it great, my hat goes off to
yeah.
you make a mistake, you start over.
It's done.
If I do an acrylic, I make a mistake, I just paint over it. So learn all of them, and then choose your discipline by choice, not by ignorance. Have a vast array of knowledge.
Play with mediums.
And make your choices. And do the same thing in composition. I studied the great masters, and you can learn so much by applying basic art composition to the masters or your competition, wink, wink, and you can learn how to do this. So what I did is came up with this way of telling a story of a driver's career. In the background, it's grayed out. So we did Jackie Ickx, we did Jürgen Barth, and we did Hurley Haywood the first year.
Yep.
And we surprised all three on the main stage here at Amelia Island. Now, Germans say they never cry. They cry once a year, and it's during Oktoberfest. And believe me, I have proof of this. I worked at Siemens. They zip you and lock you in the tent, and about a week later you come out, you don't know what happened. You might have been abducted by the German beer gods.
Beer gods, of course, yes.
Yes. And so Jürgen Barth had a tear in his eye when we presented the painting to him, when Bill Warner and I did. He'll never admit it, but I featured his father, Edgar Barth, who was an engineer and a race driver for Porsche, along with his 550 Spider in the background. So, and then Hurley Haywood is an honorary here every year. And he took the painting, and I go, well, I'll give it to you, Hurley. I'll ship it to you. And he wouldn't let it go. And he actually left. Everyone comes up to me, where's Hurley? I go, I have no idea. He went home and hung it up on his wall.
That's great.
So the next year was this little-known guy, Roger Penske. So we did a painting of Roger Penske, and I did it of his racing career only. So pre-1964, right. The Xerox Special. He drove for Brumos back then in, I think, 1961, a 550 Spider or whatever. And so we did that. So we surprised Roger Penske. And then I said, hey, Roger. No, I said, hey, Mr. Penske, would you mind helping me lift this painting off? And behind it, we had a surprise painting I did for Bill Warner. Bill Warner was an incredible photographer, one of the best in the business for years, a car and driver, road and track, and he's the founder of the Amelia Island Concours d'Elegance. He threw his hands up and he said, oh my God, and he was so surprised. So that was a double ambush. So this year, we're going to surprise the honoree, Lynn St. James, and this is the first time on camera, I'm going to show you this painting that we're surprising Lynn with tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Flip it over, it's upside down. And we don't like to show paintings upside down. And so this is the painting that we are going to surprise Lynn St. James with.
Are we in frame? That should be good.
And so this is her racing career synopsis of what she did, and this is her rookie year. in 1992 at Indy. And she has been such an incredible woman and spokesman for the racing industry, for the motorsports industry, and as a leader, whether you're a woman or a female, that I am incredibly honored. I'm incredibly honored to be able to give this to her with Bill Warner tomorrow.
Kelly, thank you so much. This is everything I'd hoped for and more. I appreciate your time.
Well, Bernie, you know, you're an incredible gift to what we do in motorsports, and your enthusiasm and your passion is double almost anyone I know. And I can't thank you enough for giving me the opportunity, not just you.
Well, I've stopped drinking coffee, so there's not any caffeine anymore, so I've tried to mellow that down.
Well,
it
didn't
bit.
work. Okay, it didn't work. But just what you're doing to highlight my career, you know, I love giving to others. What you're doing with your other interviews, I just sincerely want to give you the kudos and thanks.
No, thank
for
you.
being such a champion in this industry. And he calls me every month. I got this idea. What do you think? I go, yeah, I know these people. Do an email introduction, and it goes where it goes. This guy's terrific. Thank you.
Well, we try to think out of the box, and you know, I think the innovation comes from talking to people like you, and then somebody comes up with an idea, and then all of a sudden we make it our own, and we steal that piece of art.
Yeah.
And you know, we try to give credit, but really the ideas are generated from everybody else. It's just a matter of listening.
So Bernie's too humble. The guy's a rock star. If he calls you, wants to do an interview, do it. Out.
Thank you. Then now that we end.
How'd we do, Bernie?
Dude, sweet.